Hey people, I hope you're having a wonderful day. I've been playing a lot of Street Fighter 6 recently, so I thought I'd make a quick guide on fireballs and DP. First of all, I want to start off with a little video that I watched when I was young, getting into Street Fighter with Street Fighter 2 on the PlayStation 1. I find it is a very great guide, which I'm going to link down in the description, but I'm going to just show you a small clip of it right here. Afterwards, we'll go into getting your DPs and Hadoukens as consistent as possible.
Controlling space. Street Fighter 2 has a 2D playfield with no sidestepping, so controlling space in the playfield really limits the opponent's ability to move and attack. They've got to figure out a way to get around fireballs, for example. Let's look at the game with some rectangles overlaid to see which space is being controlled. This large horizontal rectangle represents the amount of space Ryu controls with his fireball. Look at how much of the playfield it takes up. The opponent's going to have to figure out some way to get around that. This other vertical slanted rectangle represents the space that Ryu controls with his Dragon Punch. So if you jump over one of his fireballs at the wrong time, he'll be able to Dragon Punch you out of the air. This is his basic gameplay, and you can see that it's so effective because so much of the playfield is under Ryu's control. Now let's compare this to Bison's ability to control space. His scissor kicks and Psycho Crusher let him control a lot of the horizontal playfield, just like Ryu. You can see how his horizontal rectangle takes up the whole screen. But the difference is that these two moves, both the scissor kick and the Psycho Crusher, will lose to fireballs. That means that when Ryu throws a fireball, the space that Bison controls shrinks and shrinks and shrinks. Bison's got to find another way around those fireballs. Also, remember that Ryu had that big vertical slanted rectangle which represented his Dragon Punch. Bison is lacking that, and that's one of his weaknesses. If an opponent jumps in on him, he could try to do a Stand Fierce Punch, but it has a pretty small hitbox and is not as high priority as a Dragon Punch. His other option would be to do a Jumping Strong Punch, which is probably a better option, but still it's not as good as a Dragon Punch. Bison has to make up for these weaknesses with other advantages.
David Serlin, everybody. I've never seen anyone put it more eloquently than that video, and that was the first video I ever watched of Street Fighter. I think it really sets you up with the fundamentals of what Street Fighter is as a whole, which is a sort of space control advantage game. So you can only have one fireball on the screen at one time, so if I were to throw two fireballs, a light would come out, or whatever punch button that I was using at the time. So just keep that in mind. And it's like, as soon as you hit someone, you can throw another fireball. So if they get hit on block, or if they get hit, and as soon as the fireball leaves the screen, it sort of dissipates, but they could sort of jump back, and depending on how close you are to the opponent, reflects like how much screen a fireball can have. So just try and keep that in mind when you're doing it. Generally, every character with a fireball has 4 types of fireballs. Ryu actually has up to 8 or 6, I think. But generally, rule of thumb is the light punch variant here is the slow plus one. So if it hits, you'll have more plus frames, and you can recover faster for DP. Medium's like the middling one, and that's not, fierce is the fast, but it doesn't actually give that much advantage on hit one. It's important to keep this in mind. I'm going to go more into Ryu stuff, but if you're coming from another character, that's generally the rule of thumb. Some characters have weird fireballs, like JP, as well as Luke, or as well as Terry. His ones are quite specialist, but the rule of thumb is light punch is slow, but more plus than block and hit. Medium's the middling one. Fierce is the fast one. And then like the final one that generally everyone has is their OD one, which will do a knockdown on hit and go through the other fireballs. Now there's 2 ways to do a fireball. There's the standard quarter circle forward, but the way that I like to do fireball, especially in the neutral, is half circle forward. That's because you always want to sort of bait with your movement by sort of moving out of in and out of your opponent's best pokes, like their crouch forward. And sometimes when you're moving forward and you need to throw a fireball, you'll get DP, because this is just forward and then Hadouken. So if I'm moving forward and back, I can do a half circle, and that cancels out my forward momentum from earlier, and I won't get DP when I'm moving back and forth, as you can see. Now, spacing is sort of everything with Ryu, and there is a standard tempo for Hadouken, but a lot of the frame traps that Hadouken need to be done at this sort of range. And this is like the best range for DPs as well. You always want to be within whiff practice distance, because the thing is that they can throw a forward normal and then you can hit them with a fireball or your own crouch medium. Now, the standard tempo that most people do with fireball is light fireball into heavy, because if they get hit by the light fireball, you'll have enough advantage that if they jump, they will get hit by the heavy fireball. You can jump the heavy fireball if they perfect parry, because fireballs are a lot weaker in Street Fighter 6 specifically than they are in Street Fighter 2 for a comparison. But if you throw another heavy fireball, it will act as sort of an anti-air. So if they perfect parry and jump, they will get hit by the third heavy fireball. So it's light, heavy, heavy. This tempo is the classic Hadouken tempo that all Ryus have used for like 20 years, and it's one that you need to know. You can mix it up. It's sort of a science, but just be lucid with it. But I would get this one down in particular. The thing about that tempo as well is you just need to hit the light fireball on block and it will work. If they jump, they'll get hit. If they try to jump arc it, they'll get hit. If they perfect parry it and then jump and then you do another heavy fireball, they'll get hit. Other than that, if you have, for instance, a Denjin charge, medium is serviceable as well. I don't think it will work on block, but basically, if you have Denjin charge and you don't want to use it, use medium. It's serviceable. Just stay fluid with it. Also, see if you hit with light fireball into fierce fireball, it will sometimes combo. So, if you're at the right spacing, but it's even like guaranteed when you're doing a Denjin. See, it's like, and the same thing happens with XE. So if I hit with like a light, I can combo into the XE. This is just like one of the most basic things about Ryu. I don't see a lot of Ryu players talk about, and this works with like most of the fireball characters. It's generally the same kind of tempo. This is a legacy thing. Whenever you hit someone with an XE fireball as well, they have float properties. So you can actually get a follow-up. It doesn't have to be another XE fireball, but any XE knockdown in this game lets you do one additional hit. Just keep that in mind. You can even, I think, drive rush into another float. Drive rush gives an additional float when it hits. But yeah, just keep that in mind. With Ryu in particular, his Denjins sit pretty much just like an XE, so you can actually just float without using XE. So just keep that in mind if you're playing Ryu. You can actually get some pretty crazy combos with this. Now, the best thing to do when you're in a fireball war is, and they throw out, like, say they throw an XE or something like that, your reflex should be to parry, not jump. You could end up perfect parrying it, or earning back some drive rush, gauge, yourself and putting them into burnout as they waste their XC. And sometimes when you throw a fireball, especially the light one, which is the one that you should be doing probably the most in neutral, you will have generally enough recovery, as it's fast to recover, to get into that parry. Don't neutral jump or try safe jump over XC stuff. Get that parry out as soon as possible. Now, I'm going to say, like, generally they're not going to drive impact afterwards. It's always a risk when you're going with scrubs, but because there's like a hard knockdown, it would be really ridiculous for them to go for it. And even then, you can drive impact out with parry, so you'll be safe. Okay, so the other way to use fireball is generally with crouch forward. So you do like this into fireball. You can input a fireball every single time you do crouch forward, and unless it hits, it actually hits, it won't come out. So if I'm doing over here, it doesn't come out, but when I touch them, it comes out. It's something that you need to practice. It's called buffering. If you're new to Street Fighter, it's something you need to look into, but if you're not, you're probably well versed with that. The reason why this crouch forward is good for all the Shotos, and it's generally the bread and butter, it's great for drive rush when you're at full bar, but also it's great for whittling down drive gauge, and it also puts you at the exact distance that if they do something stupid like a Shuryu afterwards, they'll whiff it and you'll get full punish. You'll be sitting there for the full punish. So when you do this, sometimes it's good just to wait back and then punish with a whiff punish. But yeah, also if they any time during this block spring try to drive impact, you will be safe to drive impact. The one that you generally want to do is light for the frame advantage, but even if you're doing heavy wherever, you will do the drive impact. As long as they don't do it preemptively, you'll generally be safe to do crouch forward into Hadouken. It is very lenient. Of course, this isn't the only move you can do this with Hadouken, but it's generally the most recommended. You can also do this with like Fierce Punch and stuff like that, but it's a classic for a reason. Now on to DPs and people jumping over your fireballs. Now I'm going to start this off quickly with the DPs are sort of a skill issue for a lot of people. I know in the heat of the moment this input can be quite troublesome. Remember though, almost every character, it doesn't matter if you're playing Ryu, crouch fierce is generally a good anti-air. Ryu also has back fierce, but crouch fierce is generally a great anti-air. It will go through most jump-ins generally, and this goes for a majority of the class, the cast. Only characters that are weird don't have a crouch fierce anti-air. It's generally a well-known thing and a legacy thing, and it even goes to other games in some cases. But I'm gonna go over like how to DP. So generally, like the main way, like the class, the way that you're supposed to, the way that you're learning is you go right and then you do a Hadouken. So right Hadouken. So right quarter circle Hadouken. Yeah. So that's how you get one. So I like to I like to use shortcuts. I use hitbox. This might not work on pad or fight stick. But remember, if you're using those kind of things, you can actually like customize your pad to have additional inputs or whatever inputs that you want using the Steam layout. That's something that you can look into. I might make a guide about that, but generally the shortcuts that I like to use, one is double tap diagonal down right. That gets me off DP sometimes. The other one is just tap right, tap right, and then all three buttons. The other one is like, I call it the charge input. So it's like if you're playing Guile or something like that. So you hold down and then you double tap right, you'll get a DP. I like to do this one in the neutral. Another one is like you hold down and then tap You hold down right and then you tap down and you'll get a DP. Really good. Another thing is to like help you out if you're having a hard time with like just getting DPs out in general. Some people say this is cheating or a weird way to do it, but one of the options that you can use is you can actually turn on something called negative edge in your input. If you go into like your battle input and your controller settings, there's something you can turn off or on. Is button release input. So that gives you like two inputs. When you input buttons, it's sort of like a double input, and it will make your inputs during like normal combos more lenient. Some players don't like it because it can sometimes end up triggering one of these different shortcuts that I've just shown you by accident. But it's really up to you whether or not you find it useful. Yeah, it's just up to you. Now, when you're throwing fireballs, I find a good way to get the fireball, the DP out when you see a jump, is to hold down right and then do the DP afterwards. So if I were, for instance, we were going into like anti-airs, so I'm throwing fireballs. I'm trying to get this guy. I throw. See, and also a good thing to keep in mind is like the mentality of it. Like, there's only so many things that someone can do when you're throwing fireballs at them. They can jump, they can parry, they can drive impact, which you should be ready for at any time, and that's it. So, like, the likelihood of them jumping at you is like 60%. So, always be prepared for the DP, and don't just sit there and mash Hadouken. Try and use the half circle motion, and then hold down the right, and then wait for the jump. If the jump doesn't happen, then go into your next fireball. Don't just keep spamming fireballs unless they're on hit. And that, I think that's like one of the bases about it. So, like, just keep firing. Ooh. This is a mode that I like, but I'm also like it's a good way to train your DP as well, because it's something that everyone struggles with sometimes. You know, see. The way that DP works though is the light one is usually the fastest one. And here's like the crouch fierce there, just so I can show you. The light one is usually the fastest one, but the heavy one is usually the one you use in combos, and it's usually the farthest one, and the frame advantage that you need. For like the heavy one during combos is usually sometimes even better than the light or the medium one. But medium one is the one that's generally invincible to all anti-air. That means like you are invincible. You cannot get hit whilst they're in the air state. It's like a status condition almost, you know. But obviously as well the big part of the XE Shoryuken, let's go into that. You can use negative edge to give yourself a really good Hadouken DP with a really crisp motion. So if you just hold down the punch button and then do the DP motion whilst holding down the punch button, when you release the punch button, the DP will come out. And it will usually be about the time you will be able to do a DP anyway. Now, the reason why you want to use OD Shoryuken is because it's invincible. So like on wake up, you can if you predict an attack coming in, you can like go through it. It will always go through. So if you can like time your attack just when they're about to attack you and you throw it out, it will go through their attack, and it's a big part of the Shuryu, and I'm sure you're very familiar with it if you played any more than 5 minutes of Street Fighter, because people use it a lot. Now, to hit a cross-up, which is quite a popular way for people to attack, where they just jump over you, well, I'll show you one. I've set it to cross-up. They can jump over you, and your DP will whiff, generally, and you won't be able to hit them with the DP. The way to do this is wait. You have to wait to see them jump, and then do a half circle the opposite way, and then you'll get the DP out. I'm still pretty bad at this, so forgive me. I might take a few attempts, but yeah, this is generally the way that I find the easiest way is to do a half circle motion. But yeah, give it a few practices. It might take a little while, but this is how you cross up DP. And with that, I think I've really covered everything that I wanted to do in my DP and Hadouken guide. This should really get you able to get started into the science of DP and Hadouken. If any of these guides or tips have been able to be helpful for you, I'm an upstarting YouTuber. I could really use the subscribers or a comment, or maybe if you could share this with your friends. But thank you guys for watching, and I hope this has been helpful. Ciao, ciao.